He blinded me with science!
Okay people, today let's take a quick look at the Walmart exclusive Hasbro Star Wars Black Series Bad Batch Season 2 crew, consisting of Hunter, Wrecker, Echo, and Tech. I wasn't going to get these, mostly because I was completely happy with the Season 1 crew. They were uniformed, they looked like a group, they all matched up. I loved it. Then I finally caught up on Season 2 and I had to have the new looks. There's more splashes of color, gives them a bit more personality, makes them individuals. And I know I just said I like the uniform look, but there's also something to be said about this. Plus, I just like the Bad Batch. That's what it comes down to. I buy what I like. I've said it in every Star Wars review this year. I justify spending money on some parts of the universe by skipping other parts of the universe. I'm definitely not a completist at this point, and I find myself enjoying the figures I do get even more, even when they are just repaints and little tweaks here and there. Taking a look at the packages, very nice promo pics on the front. They're kind of bathed in darkness, but there's this red light shining up. Very, very moody. Mostly because it matches the maroon color scheme they've gone with for the Bad Batch packaging. Warning, choking hazard, small parts. Oh, don't put the figures in your mouth, especially Wrecker. He's too big. On the side, got some artwork for your eye holes. On the back, the same pictures as the front, and then the standard bios. Basically, Hunter leads, Tech does machines, Wrecker's cool but rude, and Echo is a party dude. What? On the other side, my favorite promo pictures. They're just standing at attention, not trying to hide anything with arm bends or legs in the way or accessories. Just, here's a fig, there's a fig, everywhere's a fig. On the top, a whole lot of nothing. On bottom, there's your legalese and barcodes. Let's start with Hunter. And man, getting Hunter out of the package and giving him a good look up and down, I guess I haven't thought about this set since I put him on pre-order. I could have sworn that this reused a lot more parts than it actually does. But no, it's the head, it's the chest, it's the upper arms, it's the knee pads, and it's the feet. Everything else is a new sculpt. This new ab piece with the baggier material underneath and this armor part right there does a lot to change the feel of the chest armor from the original. And then the upper arms are hidden behind these new shoulder pads that I like a lot better. It feels like it fits the design. Wait, it's still kind of chunky and angular, but these were just kind of almost wing-like sticking out. For half a second, I thought it was the same crotch because it does that same kick-up thing at these two angles right here. But looking, this has a fly. These are pants. This is an armor piece. And then on the knee pads, the nicks, the dings, they match back and forth. They just took new legs and put the old knee pads on, which makes sense. I mean, Hunter's not going to chunk everything. He's going to keep what's useful and then add parts on as he goes. Kind of a callback to Mandalorian gear with the mismatched shins. This one's like catcher's padding, and then there's armor piece on this side. And while that's similar, it's not the same. It flares out more down at the ankle. Oops, I missed the hands. I do think those are reused too, but these wrapped forearms coming down and over and covering the wrist, it does a pretty good job of hiding the fact that those are the same backhand armor pieces. And the undershirt is the same kind of material with those stripes on it, but then, yeah, that's definitely different. Okay, the knife sheath is the same on the back of the arm. The forearms are definitely different. Instead of this armored piece, it's just a butt flap, which probably makes it easier to sit down. Well, no, he's strapped some armor plates here too. That's interesting, but still probably easier to sit than a full set of armor. And then he has the double pistol holster rig. And I love the color scheme. The white pops out from the grays and the blacks, but then you have this turquoise and a darker green and some maroon brown color and this brownish. This is all over the place now that I'm actually looking at it. The orange stripes on the front and front right there. It shouldn't work, but it does. I mean, that's Hunter. Oh, and I forgot there's a bandana piece around the neck now. It's just loose and it kind of flops around, but it doesn't do too bad a job staying in place. Of course, I've got it laying on his back, essentially. In neutral stance, he's going to hang down a little bit like that. Like I said, the head is reused, but the paint job's been changed a bit. Right off the bat, Season 2 is way less shiny. It's not matte, but it's easier to see a lot of the detail, whereas on the first one, see how it glares back at you and kind of blocks some of the sculpt? I also feel like this part of the face tattoo is a lot finer. You can see these lines like the teeth of the skull. On the old one, well, again, it's shiny, but not near as distinct. Also notice this up on the bandana. The skull looks kind of funky. On the new one, much meaner looking. The eyes have been dropped down. It's still askew slightly, but I like this much better. The helmets are exactly the same sculpt-wise, but then obviously the paint's different. And I didn't point it out a lot. We'll go back and look at it here in a minute on the body, but it has this light blue roughness to it, like the gray's been worn down. But then the orange just pops. I like the red, but man, there's something about that orange against the grays and the blues and the blacks. There it is on the back, and then side by side, I'm noticing this darker color hooked in here. And then there's that baby blue primer showing through on the chest too, in places. Exact same knives with the yellow tech detail to them. In fact, I dropped this one and had to make sure that this one is season 2, this one's season 1. And that goes in his nifty knife holster on the back of his arm. The helmet is still tight as hell to put on, and I always worry about scraping paint off the face. And I thought getting it on here that the wrap around the bandana on his shoulders would get in the way, but no, it actually works with the helmet. When I first put it on, I still think that it is slightly large, but like a lot of people pointed out during the season 1 reviews, this is kind of what they look like in the Bad Batch. Still, Black Series tries to skew into that realistic look, so in that aspect, yeah, it can run a little big. But I think what's going to happen on my shelf is that season 1 crew is going to get the helmets, and then season 2 crew will be helmetless. Plus, that'll make more sense when we get to tech. Season 1 came with this big blaster. Season 2 comes with your regulation clone pistols. Dual holster rig. It looks so sweet once you get them in there. And then the backpack. Again, total reuse from season 1. Just with the darker color scheme and the orange splashes. Man, overall, I am loving this way more than I thought I would. I mean, I knew I'd like it. It's Star Wars, it's Bad Batch, it's clones, it's Hunter. But now that I'm getting it all together and seeing it and realizing just how much is new, Articulation wise, in the neck, dumbbell up, ball joint down, so you have all kinds of movement there. The shoulder pads are your Star Wars standard of plastic loop going down around the shoulders, and there is a butterfly joint. Rotate it forward and back and around and hinge up to there. Elbow joint, not bad for an armored single jointed character. Up and down hinge on a trigger finger hand. All kinds of torso movement. Holster rig coming down and around the legs does get in the way, and then you have this armor plate sticking up right there, so it does kind of get in the way. And then these coming down here gets in the way of the knee, so it just goes 90. Then your standard ankles down at the bottom. For Echo, the sculpt changes, the part changes are way less drastic, but the new color scheme does a lot to change it up. It makes it seem like there's some new, because this white shirt that he's wearing under, man, you would think, oh, those are different arms, but they aren't. They're the same. They did change the shoulder pads, though, and even that is hard to tell if, well, okay, if you look at this angle, you can see the kick right there, whereas this one goes, just swoops down. But then there's also this lip around the edge. This one doesn't have that. The only other different parts are the knee pads. The first one had these cool side of the knee covers attached to them. On the new one, this almost looks like your standard clone armor, and they are strapped all the way around the back. And I know I made that sound like a bad thing. You got to get your knee pads where you can find them, but these were so unique. I kind of miss them. Other hand, again, I'm loving the splashes of color. That white just really pops compared to the old uniform. Then for the paint job on the armor pieces, he gets a lot more artistic with the angles coming in, the triangles, the orange, the other orange, the red color, the yellow coming up here, the gray kinda coming down, there's some yellow, and then down on the comma, there's this beige brownish color with orange stripe coming down and around. And then the red glove, for some reason. It's very mixed up, but it still looks good, like Hunter. Then there's brown for the crotch, which again is reuse. You can see the same dents and dings. Brown underpants, gray upper armor, gray knee pads, brown shin pads, back to the gray, back to the brown. Looks like there's also a red neck piece under there. And it came with the helmet on in the package. Quick look at that before taking it off. Again, much less uniform. It's almost like just splash of paint, add some gray, darker color up top, the gray on top, no number. So again, it's skewing away from the military look. I can only guess that the helmet is on in the package because there's a snapback here. And if I remember right, and that's probably why mine is unsnapped, it's a pain in the ass to get on. So Hasbro's kinda, hey, we put it on for you, it's snapped. If you take it off, that's on you, buddy. But again, my season 2 is probably gonna be unmasked, so it's gotta come off. Oh, that's easier than I remember. Let's see what we have on the... Oh, the skin tones are really different. Well, okay, not super different, but season 2 is more skin-like. This one is very bright, very pale. Does that make sense? Very bright, very pale. I guess what I'm trying to say is that season 2 is much more natural feeling, even for an unnatural type skin tone. Also, the little bolts or nodes or whatever up on top are gold instead of silver this go around. Fancy. Not a huge difference, but again, because it's more matte, you can see more of the detail. The eyebrows, the eyes pop out more, the sunken cheeks. Well, you can see all that here too. Actually, am I wrong in thinking that season 2 looks a little bit more like Tamura? There's nothing wrong with either of these. You just gotta pick and choose. Which one's your favorite? I don't know if I can make that call. Again, one's gonna be fully armored up because, I mean, yeah. And then the other is gonna be more mercenary, hanging out. You know, he doesn't always need the armor on. For accessories, it still comes with the pistol, which the first one did... Would you come here? First one did come with the same pistol, and that can go in the holster, just like the first one. Same deal with the backpack, darker color, have some orange to it. Actually, there's some extra red right there, too. I kind of like this metallic vent on the old one, though. Season 1 also came with this funky attachment, the Stanley hair cutting device from Thor. If it slips on the old arm, it'll slip on the new arm because it's the same arm, so it'll work on either. Same articulation setup as Hunter, lots of neck movement, butterfly shoulder back and forth, hinge up. Okay, the shoulder pad is different. It's glued down at the bottom, open on the top, so you gotta kind of lift it up. Once you get it up and over, full arm movement. Single elbow goes forward and all the way back. No. Wrist is in and out. Quite a bit of hula hoop. The comma's going to get in the way of the leg movement. Comes up and back and out and knee. Oh, quite a bit of knee. Actually, the strap does not get in the way. And you got your ankle movement forward and back. I went to put the helmet on, and maybe I've never pushed the helmet all the way down or something, but I wedged this under there, pushed it together, latched it first try. Let's see if I can make it 2 for 2. See how it's not all the way down right there, but it's down on this side? Push this down in there and here. No shit. Look at that. I did it! It's not exactly where I want it to be. I wish it was up on this lip, but it seems like that is just not gonna happen. No, it's just too tight. I'm gonna end up stabbing myself. But that still looks good, and it's latched. So I can't complain too much. But like I said, season 2 gonna be unmasked. At least that's my thinking right now. Oh, and Wrecker is so good too, which I knew that going in, but getting an actual look at the colors used here, it's a lot more earthy. It feels a lot more natural, at least from the thighs up. The legs still have that gray and black military top look with some orange splashed in. But then up here, there's some light greens and some nice oranges and a lighter gray. Well, okay, we're moving back to the gray and black right here. But the orange, I don't know. There's just something... Well, one, there's a symmetry to it, except for this white paint here, which is kind of tied into this holster piece. And then the double shoulder pad compared to the single. But Wrecker feels very balanced. And he falls kind of in between Hunter and Echo as far as new parts go. I do believe the whole leg is reuse. They just did a cool two-tone thing with the foot to change it up a little bit. Not as much paint on the knife holster though. That had some red and blue up here. This doesn't. And Wrecker's taking care of his new armor a lot more than his old. You can see the scuff marks on some of the high points here and there. This is very clean. But then again, that is a new piece. It looks very similar, like it has the same basic shapes here under the pecs where it kicks down, and then the collar piece. But then it has this ridge running around and doesn't come down over the ribs. It actually stops here and then it turns to cloth. There's also different abs and crotch piece. It's kind of a plate over pants, but it's all the same color, like they missed some paint or something. But on the old one, it was all armor. So again, different. Same arms with the jut out over the elbow, but then you get up to the shoulder pad and it's different. These have a flow to them. There's a softness. These are very angular. Plus it's doubled up. But then you get to the left shoulder pad and I do believe... Oh, no, it's not the same sculpt. It has kind of the same shape. See how it bumps right there out? this bumps out right here. But again, it's brought another layer to the whole thing. Kind of like Bad Batch Season 2. It brought a new layer to most of the characters. That belt piece is new for an overlay. Then like the rest, it is a reused head, but the shininess is gone, and that does so much for the quality. I do feel like it makes the eye less lifelike because of how prominent it becomes. But overall, it's just a better look. It's also easier to see the scars on his left side. You can still see them on this head, don't get me wrong. But again, that shininess kind of distracts you. The more I stare, the more I see, the more I like, you know? Going back to the grays, they tie to the top and bottom. That green, I don't know what it is. And this lighter greenish, brownish, yellowish color. He's the bruiser for sure, but this gives him kind of the gentleness. Maybe that's the show seeping into my brain, that, you know, he has a kind side. But it feels like this overall look makes that more prominent. It displays it. This just feels, you know, run into battle. Here we go. This is stop and help people. Just so good. Same sculpt to the helmet, and it's a different paint job, but the concept is essentially the same. It just has the 99 removed, and it doesn't have the white stripe running around to the back. And then, of course, there's the brighter color. Even the backpack is less mean. On his Season 1, there was a skull, there was the reds and the blues and the darker colors. Season 2, it gets that lighter gray, it has the orange. It's happier. It's more optimistic. Same heavy blaster, but double-sized. Well, I can't say double-sized for sure. I haven't measured it, but it sure does look twice as big. And why wouldn't it be? Wrecker's a big guy. But the cool thing here is there's this new belt piece with this strap, and if you open that up, there's a place to store his gun this time around. It sticks way out there. It gets in the way of the arm when you're trying to do a neutral stance, but hey, storage is storage. Then he's got his big ass blade. There's a blue tint to the steel this time around, and then the handle is a brownish color. It's brighter than the kind of gunmetal from the first season. And that stores right down there. Articulation wise, same setup, just brawnier guy. You got all kinds of head movement, and the shoulder pads come down around the elbow. There's a butterfly joint that kicks back and forth a little bit. Hinges up to there. Elbow, a little past 90, but again, armor, muscles, not bad hula hoop. Leg up, leg back, leg out. I've forgotten to point out, but all of these guys have thigh swivels hidden behind the armor pieces. Single knee, yeah, past 90. Ankle, ankle, foot. And then finally, my favorite Bad Batch member, Tech. And after getting the first 3 out of the package and finding all these new parts that I didn't know happened, I was excited to compare Tech, and the bodies are exactly the same. Which, now that I think about it, is accurate to the cartoon. It's Tech. He doesn't really think about fashion statement. He just thinks about usefulness, utility. And if it works, why change it? But a new Tech figure had the most to gain when it came to the head sculpt, and that's getting his goggles on. This is the Black Series Bad Batch Season 1 Tech that Hasbro gave us, and as far as I can remember, he was never seen without his goggles on. This is more of a redemption figure because this was sorely needed. This is Tech. Even his eyes are slightly magnified. That is just a good look. The armor is, well, I don't know. It's brighter in places and then it's darker in places. The undersuit is now a blue instead of black. And then there's the orange parts instead of red. But then he's added black to some of the armor pieces, like up here under the thing where it was gray on the first season and up at the shoulders. Fully brown around the bicep armor, the orange where the red was. It's not a huge difference. Again, black instead of gray. Same thing on the back of the left gauntlet. The straps and everything are a slightly brighter brown instead of that dullish brown. I guess they're both browns. It's just different shades. Black on the lower chest armor, black on the crotch piece. So really, it comes down to the head. Of course, I say that. I like the blue pops. Again, it's Tech. You know what I mean? He's like, okay, I see you guys wearing some orange. I guess I'll add to it. And the black gear got dirty, so I'll wear some blue. But other than that, can we just do the mission? Can we just go? I'm trying to find more things to talk about. There's a little brown right there on the left bicep. White on the shirt right here is different than the first. It's all about the goggles. On Season 1, I have these tools strapped around right here. These clamps and this hammer and this screwdriver or whatever. And Season 2 tech comes with those same tools, but then there's these. And I cannot remember if Season 1 also came with these, and there's no place to store it on the figure, so I just put it in a bin somewhere, maybe? And I don't know if these go a certain way, but oh, I guess I could look at the package, huh? That tells me nothing. Well, that shows the clamp on the front, and that's all I got. I'm sure I didn't come up with the setup on Season 1 by myself. I saw it somewhere, so I'm just going to do the same thing for Season 2. I do notice on the first one, this cylinder in front of this pouch over here on the hip is painted. The new one isn't. That's kind of a bummer. Oh, he holds the wand like a dark wizard. Also comes with the same old pistol as the first season, and there's nowhere to store it, so it always went in his hand, at least on my display. Same... Oh, backpack tells me where those are. Look at that. They're antennas. So if you've already typed, hey dummy, those are antennas that go in the backpack, I just figured it out on my own. Anyway, the backpack is grayed down and oranged up. Goes in, doesn't rotate. And then the helmet brings more difference, which makes sense. The goggles are on the head this go around, so these should be open to accommodate those. The first one didn't have goggles, so they were built into the helmet, where you just go boom, and there you go. There is your tech look. Even has the drop-down visor. Again, a little darkness to the new paint job. He went black instead of some orange stripes and stuff. But I've already heard about some of the nightmares of getting this on, which may have been the reason they did it this way the first go around, and the fans were like, hey, give us our goggles on the tech head, and Hasbro's like, you asked for it. There you go. Can I reiterate that I am displaying Season 2 without the helmets, so I'm only going to do this once. If I get this on here and get it stuck, I'm going to be pissed off. Oh, but that does look good. Can't see any skin tone through, but you can see his eyes. That is perfect. That looks really, really good. I was about to say, do I need a second one of these so I can put the other head on this? But I just realized that I would need to paint all the black parts to this gray and red, or cut out this part of the helmet here. Oh man, now I don't want to pull it off because of how nice that is. Let's go from the back. Okay, yeah, that's not too bad. It was still very tight, but if you pull up from the back and let the goggles come out from the helmet, yeah, that right there is worth the price of admission. Here's Batch Season 2 next to Batch Season 1. I mean, they kept the heights the same for the most part. Well, okay, there's also a lot of reused parts, I say, as we get to Hunter, but even there, kept the same height. And Echo looks just as good. I love the color on the new ones. You have your Season 1 specialized military crew, and then you have your Maverick Mercenary Heart of Gold crew. Not that these guys didn't have a lot of heart, but you know what I mean. Then throw in Imperial Crosshair, and it spruces things up while toning it down. That black armor is just sleek as hell. But to give you an idea of size compared to other Star Wars Black Series figures, here it is next to the newest version of the Stormtrooper. So at the end of the day, look at them. I just got them standing there like badasses, and they're still impressive. That's all I got. I showed you the differences, the changes, the new, the old. It's in your hands now. Of course, there's the problem of these being a Walmart exclusive too. I think I've seen some of them pop in and out of stock. In fact, I was afraid I wasn't going to get my Echo there for a minute because it got delayed and my debit card is expiring this month. So I thought, oh no, it's Walmart. They're going to wait until my debit card goes, and then it'll be like, hey, we tried to take payment. It didn't happen, so we're not sending you your toy. Started getting those toy sweats for a second, but then I got shipping notice and got them. So the crew is complete, and I'm pretty happy. It's not really a big surprise when Robo's happy, but again, that's all I got. That's all I can do for you.